At Direct Service Overhead, we know how much trust you put in the individuals who have the privilege of working on the components of your home. We understand that a broken garage door is the last thing you want to be worried about, and most of the time, doors break at the most inconvenient times. Our professionally trained technicians service 24 hours a day, and our high-cycle parts are guaranteed to make a noticeable impact on your garage door without putting a damper on your wallet. If you're looking for need of assistance maintaining your current garage door, our team has the experience and expertise to deliver the results you deserve. Give Direct Service Overhead a call today or visit us online to learn more.
All right, let's do this. It's Wednesday. Got a just a big old show here. That's what we've got going on today. Do me a favor, like, comment, share, and all that good stuff. You ready to do this? 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans, SEC fans everywhere? Welcome to the one and only Pig Trail Network YouTube channel. I am, of course, Ty Hudson. Like I said, subscribe if you guys haven't already. So much to cover. Oklahoma transfers, recruits. It's like Arkansas. Do they go all in here? Do they go after some of these guys? Lincoln Riley leaving behind oh my gosh. Yeah, Bob Stoops to Lincoln Riley. Obviously, that transition worked out pretty well for OU and their fans. You got to feel comfortable they're going to be able to go out and get somebody. The rumors are we might find out today on what's going on with Oklahoma. And I know there's a few of you who are kind of there are a few people who have reached out and they're like, actually, Ty, I was born in Oklahoma, in East Oklahoma, but I grew up kind of a fan of both because Arkansas basketball used to be dominant when I was a kid and Arkansas football was great. So I kind of grew up on both sides. So this might be kind of an episode. I don't know. Maybe you avoid your OU friends. Not really. I mean, they've been hit pretty hard, and that's expected. When you have a big-time coach who's won at the level that old LR has, they don't even want to say his name anymore, you're going to do fine. I think they're going to be okay. I really do. And I do think highly, even though I trash talk Big 12 football, because I'm sorry, it's garbage. You're just not going to convince me otherwise. You got to give respect to Oklahoma. Oklahoma just does it. And I do think they're going to be competitive in the SEC. Makes you wonder a little bit about the Lincoln Riley being absolutely terrified of the SEC. I don't know that was necessarily the case. But it had been rumored he didn't like the idea. He didn't like the move. So, and the timing just seemed to be perfect. The first shot that he got. Did you see he talked to the media? He talked to Scott Van Pelt, and he said that he told SVP that he hadn't talked to anybody until that Sunday morning. I think is what he said. Oh, if I'm an OU fan, I'm calling bullshit. Bullshit. All right, Eagle, what up, Ty? How you doing, man? I like being first. Polybus says lots of Haselwood. I keep saying Haselwood. Is it Haselwood? Haselwood? Lots of rumors on Twitter. So needless to say, I now have a Twitter account. Been telling my dad, Arky56. I don't know if he's in here or not. If he's not, he might be in here, but he may have forgotten his password for like the 19th time. Dad, you're gonna owe me like so many sub sandwiches. But yeah, I'm sure he needs to get on Twitter. I've been saying for a while. Hey gang, what's the word, Scott? Well, we're gonna get around to that. RJ Young has been having a 3-day meltdown. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't consumed a lot of RJ Young content, especially since he joined Fox Sports. Nothing against him. I mean, congrats. He's had no doubt he's good at what he does. You guys, I've talked about him before. RJ Young is really good at what he does. I don't know. I liked it when he was just kind of doing his own thing. It seemed like the content was, I don't know. He also used to talk a lot about the Razorbacks. So of course, you wanted to consume that content. Tonka Todd says, sorry I'm late to share on the Twitter. Be sure to sub, share, comment, and slap the like button in the last ride. As about as competitive as South Carolina. Who's that? Tyler, are you saying that Oklahoma is going to be as competitive as South Carolina? I really hope that's not what you're saying. I really hope that's not what you're saying. They are riddled with 4- and 5-star talent up and down that roster. How often does South Carolina, how often do they get 5-star talent? Who's their last 5-star talent? Jadeveon Clowney? Say what you want. I know there's a lot of OU hate too, especially in Northwest Arkansas and down the River Valley. They hate Oklahoma. It's just, I think it's because the two states border, and Oklahoma has clearly been a far better football program and more consistently at it too. Yeah, they have an easier ride in that conference. I do agree with that. I don't think they would win. They wouldn't win in the Big 12 or they wouldn't win in the SEC like they do in the Big 12. But no, they are oozing with talent. They spit out NFL prospects off, from their offense year in and year out, and every once in a while on their defense. Your dad needs 2FA. I don't know what that means. What is 2FA? Is that is that an app for remembering passwords? Yeah, I brought that up in Discord. He's having a rough time. Also, the fact they are bleeding out players. Oh, about RJ. Yeah. Good morning, Ty. What's up, Hoyt? How you doing? Woo Pig, Scott. What's going on? Yo. Oh, you going to be a consistent 8-4 team? I don't think so. I'm not saying they're going to come in and win the West. We don't know how they're going to do the breakup either. We don't know if they're going to do pods, how those schedules are going to end up being what they are. I don't know. Do we get an SEC East, SEC West mashup? But you still feel like no matter what, they're probably still going to be playing Texas A&M, maybe LSU, maybe Arkansas every year. That's a pretty tough grind, especially if Sam Pittman continues to do what he's done. Jimbo Fisher, I think this year was kind of expected in some ways. I don't think anyone – I don't know. I thought they would be better, no doubt. I think I even said it wouldn't shock me if they would win the SEC West. But a lot of people – and I didn't pick them to win the West. I think I picked Bama if I remember right. But a lot of people thought – A&M would be all right, but I think, too, a lot of people also thought there's the possibility without Kellen Mond that A&M was going to struggle. It could be – they could replicate something similar to what A&M's done. 9 – what do they average? 9 wins a year or something? I think they could do that. They are a better job than 75% of the SEC, maybe more. I don't know. It's a good job. You go there, especially since Bob Stoops. Of course, you've only had one coach, but Bob Stoops turned that around. He turned it around. Year 2, he wins a national championship. Kind of a bumpy ride a little bit by OU standards through some of his career, but overall he had a really good career. And then, of course, Lincoln Riley was awesome for them. I've heard Haselwood wants to go where Rattler's going. Yes. So let's go ahead and just start there. I know that's what people want to hear, so let's just do it. Let's just talk about it. I've got a lot. We're still going to talk about this UCA-Arkansas matchup and the AP Top 25. We'll get into all that here in just a second. Pro Football Focus put out their all-conference teams. I thought some of this was interesting. So we had another senior get offered an opportunity to play in another bowl, so we'll talk about that. But let's start off. Can Arkansas snipe some OU transfers or prospects? Now, we'll start with Jadon Haselwood. I think I'm saying that right. Haselwood or Haselwood, whatever. While his career numbers aren't super flashy, he was a former 5-star prospect and number 1 wide receiver in the class of 2019. Without a doubt, could make a splash at Arkansas out the gate given Burks' early departure for the NFL. I'd been told it was a package deal, and I said this in Discord yesterday. It was a package deal with he and Spencer Rattler. Now, but this could be subject to change. It sounds like if he doesn't follow Rattler, Arkansas has a chance. It sounds like they are at least in the picture. Now, he could also wait it out until they make their hire. I think OU, I don't think they're going to let this thing linger around too long. I would be surprised if they didn't have an announcement or something, an actual, when that smoke piles up and all of a sudden you look and it's actually fire. I'd be surprised if that didn't start today, and maybe even we find the fire today being their new head coach. They're going to want to move on this quickly because they're losing prospects. They're losing guys to the portal. Of course, Haselwood, and now there's talks of maybe even a couple of their current commits could be decommitting sometime this week. There's all kinds of smoke out there. Listen, you got to take it all with a grain of salt until you actually see it. But it sounds like if he doesn't follow Rattler, there is an opportunity that Arkansas could bring him here. Could end up with Haselwood. Now, these were yesterday's rumors. We have to also keep in mind current running back coach Jimmy Smith was a former coach of his. So, there's a lot of smoke. This began really on Georgia message boards is where this started. I did see the even some of their mods, I think, maybe not moderators, maybe it was the actual editors from the site, had kind of chimed in on it a little bit. There really could be smoke to this. Now, again, we know how this is. We've seen this. We've been here before. Oh, he's a silent commit. He's actually committed. He's going to come here. I guess that's how we talk about portal transfers. Is he committed yet? Like we're talking about a prospect out of high school. But it sounds to me like it is on the table. I wouldn't. I definitely, if you're asking me to gamble and put money down right now, I probably wouldn't put him to Arkansas only because these things rarely ever happen for Arkansas in their favor. They did end up with some pretty good transfers last year, and they have over time had some pretty good transfers. But, you're talking about, again, a 5-star former number 1 wide receiver in his class. What was he ranked in the country? Like top 25, I think, top 30 prospect in the country. This is basketball. Yeah, I'm all in. Yeah, they probably I'd be like, yeah, I feel pretty comfortable. They're going to end up getting him. I'm not willing to say that, but I will say I think they have a legitimate shot here. If this does happen, if they do end up acquiring his services, you got to give a lot of credit to Kenny Guyton, new receivers coach. If they can make this happen, it would probably be Razorback football's biggest get in the transfer portal that I can think of in football. And it's short since it's been around. I would say that this would be your biggest. I'm trying to think. Ridgeway was not a top 10, top 5 defensive line draft prospect when he came here. He became that when he came here. So maybe that's something he's thought about. Like, you look at what he's done, what this staff was able to do with Ridgeway. Again, you're talking about a guy who comes to Arkansas, plays a year, and he's possibly a second or third round draft prospect coming from a tiny school. I would argue that kids coming in so far, and again, we have a very small sample size, have benefited more so than the kids who've gone out. Mike Woods, good example. I wish him all the best. I don't know what his plans are. Someone said he's going to enter the draft this year. If that's the case, he better hope and pray for an NFL Combine invite, which could happen when you're a receiver at Oklahoma. It could happen, and then you better hope and pray he puts up great numbers, right? For him, I think, to be a 4th, 5th round prospect, which I thought, especially after after last year, I thought, okay, he really could play himself into the draft. And then he transfers to Oklahoma, and it's just kind of a toss-up at that point because you're walking into a receiver room that's just oozing with talent. Do me a favor, guys. Make sure you like the stream. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share. On the Haselwood situation, NIL deal, this kid, till he can't say no. Jayhogs, you're exactly right. And you wonder if that happened, if somebody reached out to him. I don't know how that works when a player's in the portal. What does the NCAA say about when NIL deals can come? Do you have to wait until that player's signed? I'm not entirely sure. Danny West said he made contact with OU players and had been told that Arkansas is reaching out. Yes, Arkansas has. That is, yeah, they have reached out. Arkansas has. That's at least the one individual that I trust has said that was the case. Holy shit! Oh no! Do we have Michael Kopesky hot takes in chat? We will see where Radler goes, but no, I hate Ole Miss. I believe Razorback Red, but I'm not a homer. Oh, okay. According to Danny West, Manny Powell and Eli Henderson are both now 4 stars. Okay, are they? Okay, so we talked about this last week. Rumors were, or maybe it was the week before last. I can't remember. Rumors are you're going to have some guys scale up. Manny Powell, I'd be surprised if he did. Now, Danny West, if he said that, then yeah, you got to take what he said, right? You got to, like, Danny, who's going to know better than Danny? Nobody. Like, I trust Danny West and Trey Biddy, what they have to say over, like, everybody else. If I'd be surprised, considering Manny Powell missed 70% of the season. I'd be surprised by that. But if it does happen, it's also not shocking. I've loved this kid since they started recruiting him. I'm really excited about what he can do. I don't know. This is the question I have. Maybe someone can ask Danny. I hit him up in DMs. He'll message me. I think he's messaged me. I can count on one hand how many times that guy and I have talked. But I ask him a question and he just disappears. So maybe one of you guys could get him to respond. I'm curious as to whether or not where Manny Powell's at in his how healthy he is. Is he going to be able to participate? He is going to sign early. Everybody's signing early. I think they're up to like 16, 17 players that could be here in the spring. Someone had told me that not long ago, and it sounds like that's going to be true, which is unbelievable. That'll be the most prospects you've had show up in spring ever, and that's incredible. Treylon Burks has a chance to the NFL. Wouldn't Arkansas look for wide receivers? Well, they should, considering FX, they didn't have a true wide receiver number 2. So here's the other part that should be really attractive to Haselwood. Now, we still got to wait and see if Kendall Briles is going to stick it out. I don't know. So far, we've heard nothing. There's been no smoke about him being added to LSU, to Florida with these, to going to USC. I definitely wouldn't see him going to USC, but given who their head coach is now. But all these job vacancies that are starting to fill, we've not heard any smoke with Kendall leaving yet. We haven't heard anything yet. Assuming Kendall Briles comes back. Now, maybe you feel pretty good about, even if he does leave the next guy up, and you still feel comfortable about their ability to go after someone like Haselwood. there was no clear wide receiver number 2 this year. As far as I'm concerned, this would be a massive get. Now, does that change things for current recruits? I think it could. I can't I got to be careful how I put this. If you're relying on true freshmen, which has been the case, to come in, and we've heard a lot about Centennia, we've heard a lot about Quincy McAdoo. If you're relying on true freshmen to come in and just have an immediate impact, that's not a sign of good things, right? We said the same thing about the defensive line a year ago. They were better this year, but at several points in the season, they were a problem. Now, it's 2 different positions. It's not fair to compare those kind of those different positions. But I would argue that this would be the biggest addition, not just simply because he's a former 5-star, but because of the need of the position. I don't know how much faith to put into Warren Thompson. I don't know how much faith to put into sophomore Katron Jackson when he's a sophomore next year. He did look good towards the end of the year. He looked good in that Mizzou game. Thought if they did try to throw the ball a little more, if they had gotten up to 30, 35 attempts, I think he ended up throwing 19 times against Mizzou. I feel like Katron probably would have had at least a couple more grabs. He played a little bit against Mizzou, and that's promising. But you want someone who's a little bit older, a little bit more experienced, who's been in the spotlight. Imagine someone like that coming in. How much of a benefit is that to Arkansas? I think most of you would agree that'd be huge. Therefore, I think that this would probably be the biggest offseason addition. Again, not because of his stars, but because of his potential. Again, his numbers aren't flashy at Oklahoma. Now, his freshman year, 19 grabs, 272 yards, a touchdown. 2020, only 4 grabs. I think he was hurt, right? In 2020, isn't that what happened? 4 grabs, 65 yards. And then 2021, this year, he just – I don't know. You'd have to ask an OU fan what was going on here. But he had 39 catches, 399 yards, 6 touchdowns, which is still more than any other receiver on our roster outside of Treylon Burks. Also the most catches behind Treylon Burks. So 39 grabs again, averaging almost 10 or over 10 yards, 7 career touchdowns. I mean – I think his potential is what you'd be looking forward to the most. Again, you're talking about a guy he's what, 6'2.5", 6'3". I think he's definitely he's someone it would make you feel a lot better about what's going on at the position next year. Yeah. Pittman has hinted that Odom is gone after the bowl game. If you're talking about Michael, if you're talking about what he said after the Mizzou game, I think he was talking about the excitement that Odom had over beating his former team. I wouldn't be shocked if he left. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, his numbers weren't terrible. They improved on the D-line as the year went on. His linebackers, what he got out of his linebackers these last 2 years has just been nothing short of amazing. He had a player in Mo Brown who ended up tying the SEC for the most picks. And then you look at team stats. They're not great, but they're not terrible. And he's a name still. Like I don't think in that situation he was talking about him leaving. He could have been. I don't know. Sometimes Sam I don't want to say he talks in riddles, but he you just have to listen to his post game, and sometimes I think everyone kind of comes away with something a little bit different every time he talks to the media, just a little bit. And then sometimes he's pretty clear. I don't know. The press conference. Yeah, again, Michael, that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking. I just said that. After the Mizzou game, he said that I think what he was referring to was Odom beating his former team. I think he didn't want to speak on his behalf. I hope Bball stays, but Auburn fans are screaming for him since Bobo was fired. Yeah. Mr. T-Dub says, Kopeski, he's never once hinted at that. You're letting your fear of losing him read into things that aren't there. And I think in that situation, I don't think he was talking about Odom taking another job. We need Browse and Odom to stay. I agree. Tonka Todd, I agree. Wright's Barbecue is the premier NIL partner. Well, I'm telling you, they need to do it up. Didn't Bobby Bones offer an NIL deal to Eli Ricks? I don't know about Eli. Was it Eli Ricks? I know he's got an NIL deal with Jalen Williams. All right. Also, Recruiting. All right. This is big too. I'm not going to go over I'm just going to go over one player. I think Arkansas has maybe a shot at flipping, and that's current 4-star 2023 tight end. Yes, this would be tight end number 3. Number 1 player in the state of Oklahoma, Luke Hawes. Luke Hawes. H-A-S-Z. I don't know. Luke Hawes. He's been committed to OU since early August, was offered by Arkansas back in March of this year. OK State was actually the first school to offer Luke, I believe. If they could flip any recruit at all, he would probably be someone I could see that possibly being the case. Now, he's noted he's not really a tight end. He's like a 6'3", 6'4" receiver who can block. Has been recruited by Arkansas. I don't know that they ever really let off the kid even after he committed to Oklahoma. And now I'm not going to speak to how solid of a commit he was to OU. A lot of people thought I say a lot of people, a couple of people I've managed to kind of chat with a little bit about this, thought he might even, it sounds like he wants to stay within the region. That could be something that's possible. Now, they didn't quote him as saying anything like that. This was just kind of them speculating that it could be one of those cases where he wants to stay within the region, but he really liked his prospects with Oklahoma, with Lincoln Riley. Now that Lincoln Riley's out, is there a possibility? I think he would be the first guy I would look at. I'm not saying that there's a grain of salt to any of it. I don't know if sure message boards are probably talking about this a little bit. I don't know. But I think he'd be my first guess. He's one I would at least keep an eye on. I'd say that. But it's also probably more likely that he waits to see what they do. And I think, again, this speaks to Oklahoma trying to get someone in here quick. I mean, that's the question. Do you go after a coach as quickly as possible to keep guys intact, to keep guys out of the portal, to keep these 4- and 5-star recruits, to keep them around, to keep them interested? Or are you really trying to make the hire that's best suited for your program? And I'm telling you, the transfer portal's having an impact on these coaching hires. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how long this takes. I'd be surprised if we don't know something by the end of the week. I think we're going to at least get quite a bit of smoke, maybe sooner than later. Drop another $1 million. T-Dub, crack me up. Cracking me up, sir. Is Bryle's father's thing that happened at Baylor is hurting Bryle's chances at head coach? I'm not going to go down that. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, he was an OC here. I think that's kind of been – that was a little while ago now. Most schools, even though we live in an era of it's different times, especially thanks to social media, it's actually kind of made everything a shithole. But I don't know what level he was in on. So I know there were text messages about girls on campus to some players or something. I'm telling you, with the stuff that happens, especially the stuff that's coming out with LSU's new head coach, schools are quick to forget a lot of the stuff. Ed Orgeron, look at the allegations against Ed Orgeron. And this was stuff that went back over a year ago. And it took him till the end of this year to finally, well, I guess halfway through the year for LSU to be like, all right, I guess we're going to go separate ways. No, I don't think that's what's going on. I really don't. I think he's in a really good situation at Arkansas. He's going to have KJ Jefferson coming back. You do, and I don't want to give up on these receivers that are here. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying Warren Thompson, Katron Jackson. You still got Crawford, the other OU transfer who came in a little while back. I'm surprised that kid. I'm surprised he didn't. He had zero impact this year, and that was a little surprising. It really was, considering how active he was during the spring. We're not going to go there, Shadow. We're not going there. How many scholarships does Arkansas have left? Got a lot of guys committed. If you're talking about this class, they have one spot left that we know is right now. Now, I'm telling you, this stuff. I don't want to slip up here. I got to be careful. They have a silent commit. I'll just leave it at that. If you if you add somebody, it might have an impact, possibly. So I'll just leave it at that. It's kind of changed, what has happened at Oklahoma. It's going to be this ripple effect. It already has been across the SEC, across for maybe Arkansas. They might benefit, but that could also have its own effect. I'll just leave it at that. Have only seen. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. My bad. So every time I do this, and the words just they shrink. Have seen only right in portal so far. Okay, we're going to get to that too. 15 practices this year in spring, fall. Practices can make these wide receivers look a lot better. Right, yeah, I mean, sure, that's part of development. Oglesby is also the junior running back is in the portal as well. So Solomon Wright did, so we'll jump to that really fast. 2021 three-star defensive tackle who committed to Arkansas over several other P5 schools. Solomon Wright has entered the portal. That's now 2 Razorbacks currently in the portal, the other being junior running back Josh Oglesby. AP Top 25 came out. Oh, this felt good. All right. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I disagree with people on their playoff selections right now. I don't like what we're about to see, even though I like, what's the word? I don't want to say like diversity, but something different. I do like the idea of something different in the playoffs. But I also think you have to deserve to be there. And right now, this is the AP, not the AP, I apologize, the college football top 25. Georgia at 1, Michigan at 2, Bama at 3, Cincinnati at 4, Oklahoma State at 5. I don't know how Notre Dame's at 6. I'm not buying that. Ohio State at 7, Ole Miss at 8. Would you flip Ole Miss and Ohio State, or do you think? I know everyone gets hung up on the name Ohio State, but at times you talk about flimsy. I mean, just this. They were similar to me to like Oklahoma, who was undefeated, and we all talked about it every week. Like, how are they undefeated? They're going to lose some games. And they did. Ohio State, and I think the Big Ten is a decent conference. I know everyone's going to disagree with that because everyone in the South hates everything in the North. I get it. I don't like them either. But I do think the Big Ten is a respectable conference. I would definitely put them in front of the Big 12 and the ACC. I just kind of wonder if maybe those two shouldn't swap. Ole Miss should probably be 7th considering they're in the SEC West. I know you have to consider strength of schedule and everything, but all those two, every site says something different. Baylor's at 9. I would not put Baylor in the top 10. I just wouldn't. I would not put Baylor in the top 10. Oregon at 10, Michigan State at 11, BYU at 12, blah, blah, blah. We'll kind of go down the roll here. Arkansas 22. They finished in front of Kentucky and Texas A&M. Now, again, Friday, we're going to save a lot of our bowl talk for Friday because this is kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to wait on these CFP. I wanted to wait on the college football playoff polls. I wanted to wait on the CFP. And you're starting to see everyone come to a different conclusion now in the last 48 hours or so. So we'll talk about bowl projections, but things are lining up. Arkansas could get a pretty good bowl, and that is exciting. When it comes to the playoffs, look, Oklahoma State's going to they already beat Baylor this year. Okay, they're going to beat them again. Like I said, Baylor to me doesn't, and maybe they prove me wrong. Maybe Baylor comes out. You never know. It's the Big 12. God only knows. But Baylor to me, and I watched them play a little bit, they don't look like a top 15 team. Yeah, they had some impressive wins this year. They did some things, but they also had several disappointing games where they were supposed to blow folks out. I wasn't really that impressed with them. I have a hard time with them at 9. I don't know that any 2-loss Big 12 school should be anywhere near the top 15. And the fact that they're at 9. So Oklahoma State, who, by the way, their loss is to who? An unranked 7-5 Iowa State team. Okay, go back and look at their schedule. Look how they barely beat some questionable opponents. But Oklahoma State's going to have to play number 9 Baylor. They win, they get to the playoffs. Make that make sense to me because I can't understand that. Bama at number 3, you could argue maybe they are. I mean, you look at Michigan's one loss this year. Michigan, I'm not going to lie. Harbaugh, they've done a great job. Michigan, I have no issue with Michigan being in that top 4 at all. You could put them anywhere. I don't know about Cincinnati being there. I don't know. They're getting a lot of praise for their one great win over Notre Dame. This is what's wrong, man. This is kind of where I think preseason polls have this impact on the season. And I know that the CFP is different. I get that, but where do they conclude a lot of where do they get this from? Where do they start with? You start with the AP. But I do like that they're later in the year. And I will say they're supposed to be a little bit, more accurate, quote unquote. But Oklahoma State's got to go through Baylor. Meanwhile, Bama's got to go through the undefeated number 1 ranked team in the conference or in college football against Georgia. Now, I believe Georgia wins this game, and I think they win it pretty easily. Wouldn't shock me to see Nick Saban come in and do something crazy. The guy has been in this situation before, not too often, but he's been in this situation. Some people think it's going to be an upset. Bama's offense, other than their performances recently in the second half of the season, but for the most part, pretty good offense, great quarterback. They've got a lot of issues along their offensive line. Their running backs are banged up. I mean, we talked about injuries with Arkansas, but Alabama sustained a lot of injuries. Again, their running backs are just depleted. That's hard to fault Bama, but that's just college football, and you gotta fight through it. Not that Bama doesn't have elite backs. Even the guys that are, the 3 and 4 guy at the running back spot, they're former 4 and 5-star prospects, right? But Alabama probably going to lose. Probably end up with Georgia. I don't know, Georgia, Michigan, and then I guess Oklahoma State and Cincy. I think this is going to be a year where I think this does more harm to people who want playoff expansion, because the people who want playoff expansion, and I am one of them, one of the biggest complaints has been college football playoffs are predictable and boring. I don't think college football playoffs have benefited college football. I just don't. Like, I can remember BCS bowls you wanted to watch them all. I could give 2 shits about any of these other bowl games. I really barely care about the first round of the playoffs because for the most part, since we started doing this, they've been predictable. And this is going to this is a dent in that area because you finally got what you wanted. But now it's like, but do they deserve to be there? Alabama's one loss was on the road at 12th man at College Station, which many good teams have fallen victim to. Now, is Bama as good as they've been in years past? No. Should you hold that against them based on their week-to-week grind? And again, strength of schedule is subjective, by the way. I mean, we could sit here and talk about, I think there are several sites that have Oklahoma State way up there on the SOS. All right, that's fine. But do you really tell me this? If you believe that, if you buy into that, Alabama versus Oklahoma State right now, who wins? Alabama versus Cincinnati, who wins? You pick the stadium. You pick the place. Who do you think really wins that game? Now, that's the point of the playoffs, right? Like, we're going to get to see those games, Ty. Okay. But I'm telling you, I don't think, maybe Oklahoma State would be a decent opponent because Alabama has come down a little bit. And Oklahoma State, offensively, not where they normally are, but they're a really good defensive team. They really are. I mean, they get after quarterbacks, which would be a huge problem for Alabama. It would be a matchup issue, but I would still take Alabama. Too much talent, too much speed, strength. That's an SEC football team, not one of your classical SEC football teams. I mean, but they're one of the top SEC teams versus a top Big 12 team. I don't see it. I don't see this on any map where Oklahoma State, anywhere, you pick the stadium, you pick the time and day, I would take Bama. I would take Bama over Cincinnati. Again, all this hoorah over Cincinnati is the fact that they beat Notre Dame. And Notre Dame has been a consistent top 10 team this year. That was a pretty impressive win. But if you look at their body of work and compare it to Alabama, I would take a 2-loss over Oklahoma State, a 1-loss Big 12 or Cincinnati, if you're chalking this thing up and doing it right. But we will end up, Alabama will lose, and I do think Oklahoma State and Cincy probably find their way in. And I am, for the grand scheme of the playoffs, it is promising if that happens, if you stick with this 4-team playoff. I don't think they should. I think they ought to expand. Eagle says Bama 99 out of 100 times versus Oklahoma State. It's going to be Georgia versus Michigan for all the marble. Yeah, I think you're Michael. I think you're probably right. And Michigan's been pretty promising, and they really have. Georgia, my one hang up about them is I don't know what to think about their quarterback situation. JT Daniels and Stetson. They're not really. You look at all these teams that have won. What have they all had in common? Great offense, great quarterback play. Kirby Smart has also not been – look, if he does make it to the championship game, which is very likely, he's also not won that game yet either. He's not exactly been flawless in playoffs. If that really is how it works, what works? The refs are better than Georgia's – what? The refs are better than Georgia's defense? What do you mean? You're going to have to clarify that. I don't know what you're talking about. Hawes were supposed to play – they were. You're right. Win Gates, you're right. You're supposed to play Michigan in 2018 and then Notre Dame in 2020. Now, the game on 2025 I think is still good to go. I think they're still going to play that. The real question is whether or not Birmingham will allow Georgia this is the year when Saban gets beat by 2 pass assistants. Yeah, I think I just don't – you feel like Jimbo broke the seal, right? So, yeah. Houston can beat Cincy. They can. But I wouldn't take Houston to do anything in the SEC. I wouldn't. They'd be 8-4. At best, they'd be 8-4 in this conference. Cincy would be 8-4. Oklahoma State, maybe 9-3, 8-4. Tell me I'm wrong. With the week-to-week grind in this conference, there's a reason why we talked continuously about the A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Auburn. By the way, two of those teams ended up not even being phenomenal. They weren't as good as we thought they were going to be. Talking about, mostly A&M, so one team. But still, that grind was still pretty damn hard. That grind in and of itself is harder than anything Cincinnati had to deal with or Oklahoma State. Alex says SEC biased at its finest, or SEC biased at its best. So you think Oklahoma State and Cincy's grind was harder than Arkansas's? Take out Georgia and Mizzou. Take out those opponents. Obviously, who cares about Mizzou? Okay, the silent commitment. That's Archie Manning. Yeah, it's Archie. That's right. You heard it here first. It's Archie Manning. Cincy played one opponent this year. They played Notre Dame. Clemson, great comeback to the top 25. Clemson ended up, and I don't know what show, but I said Cincy will win out. They started off terrible, quarterback play questionable, and they ended up winning out. I think a lot of that speaks to their conference, but also to how good their roster is, the talent. Is it Jordan or Jadon? Did I say Jordan? It's Jadon. That's my bad. I had to type that up in a hurry. I'm going to get torched for that one. It is Jadon, by the way. It's Jadon. That's my fault. Just joking. Okie would maybe win 7 in the SEC. I think they would. I think they could win 8 or 9 games. I mean, their defense was good, and they would be a matchup problem for someone like Bama because of how good their pass rush was. But Bama's talent, again, strength, speed, talent, all that, they're just better. So is Arkansas going to get Haselwood or not? Yeah, I don't know when. Right now, the indications are that they're at least in play. Oh, I sent you a Twitter that Manny got his 4th. Well, that's great. I'm surprised by that because the kid didn't play. He only played 25% of the year. But, of course, they're going to go off what film is there. They're going to probably go off. I don't know how much he camped in the offseason. I don't know how much. But he deserves it. He deserves it. By the way, he looks like he's a legit 6'3.5", 6'4". I went to the Fayetteville game when they played Harbor, and I was impressed by his size because he was in crutches. He was on crutches. I was thinking of Centennia too. Watch Centennia play. He's He's playing lights out this postseason. They're going to play for it all. When is that, Saturday? Yeah, it's Saturday. Fayetteville and Bryant. We have those list of games in Discord. I don't know. Where did they go? Did I post those in our Discord? High school football. I may not have updated. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so championship games, all games at War Memorial. 5A championship's going to be Friday at 7 p.m. Pulaski Academy versus Whitehall. Greenwood versus El Dorado. You know who Greenwood's quarterback is for the 6A championship. And then Fayetteville versus Bryant on the 4th, 6:30. So that'll be – I mean, I'm taking Bryant. I hate to say that as someone who's obviously played at Fayetteville, and I go to their games. I try to catch a couple games a year. Bryant is just – they're on another level right now. Bryant has played really good. They've played really good football. Hang on just a second here. Let me answer this. Yeah, so going on, let's move on to the next part here. Arkansas versus UCA tonight. There will be a post-game show. This is going to be this should be what is the line right now? Arkansas's up, projected to win this thing by 32 points. Is that what it was? Yeah, the basketball spread right now, 32 points. So that was the question of the day. Do you think Arkansas covers or UCA, do they cover the spread, or are you taking the points? Arkansas, again, favored at 32. One More 24 says UCA covers 81-63. Jarrett Fountain says they probably cover. Big Man Ross says UCA covers 76-62. Dante Marine says 83-67. Arkansas dominates 94-68. Says Broham. Austin says UCA covers because Muss won't run the score up more than 25, which is probably true. Eagle says 100-3 Hogs. I appreciate that. Thomas Nunley, Arkansas wins and covers the spread. Note and Likes have stellar nights. Vanover lights it up. I feel like that was a Dr. Seuss rhyme. 103-68. And Williams dominates also, says Thomas Nunley. All right. Okay. So, trying to update these. Yeah, Arkansas, if they can manage, it'd be great. No one says Arkansas 78, UCA 61. Note shots 30 times tonight, says Hoyt. UCA did beat Oral Roberts at home, not the same team as years past. No, they're not. Oral Roberts is probably going to be not very good this year. At least they're not off to a good start. A lot of teams are trying to find their groove. They're trying to get it figured out. So what is Arkansas going to deal with? Your expected starting five, you're probably going to have Devo, JD Note, Odise Tony. I just call him Tony. Jalen Williams, Connor Vanover. UCA's projected starting five, Cameron Hunter, Colin Cooper, who you're going to need to keep an eye on, Jackson Baker, Jared Chatham, and Darius Hall. That should be a name that Hog fans know well. UCA comes in with the number 341st ranked three-point shooting percentage team at 25%. They average almost 17 turnovers per game. They rank 325 there. Ken Palm has Arkansas at 91, UCA 60. With the Hogs, the basketball power index, I think, has Arkansas at like 90. It's high 90s. I forgot what it is. So Arkansas also, they moved up in the AP. I don't know if you guys caught that or not. Good Lord. Oh, this chair. Now it's just killing my tailbone. The Hogs have now moved up to top 10 in the AP. Arkansas taking on UCA tonight at 7 p.m. inside Bud Walton. UCA currently 1-6. They're 0-4 on the road. Their one and only win, like someone mentioned in the comment section, Oral Roberts is their only dub of the year. Arkansas currently favored against the Bears. Yeah, it's 98.6%. according to the ESPN BPI. Arkansas's favorite at 32 points as of right now. UCA's minutes, the most minutes, these guys, now I don't know if they're steady with this rotation or not, but Cameron Hunter, who's a freshman, 6'3" guard, this guy averages about, I think right at about 12 points, almost 5 rebounds a game. He's pretty active for them. He's getting 30 minutes per game on the floor. Colin Cooper's the guy you're going to have to watch shooting outside. He's a 6'2" sophomore guard. He's getting about 30-plus minutes a game, 3-point shooter. He's 13 of 36 on the year. 13 of 36. So, yeah, that's more threes made than Arkansas's made in these last 3 games combined. But, again, that's a season stat. Darius Hall, again, we know him, 6'7", junior, is getting about 25 minutes. Jared Chatham, he's a 6'8", 185-pound senior forward. And then Jackson Baker, 6'7", guard, 22 minutes per game. I like the Hogs tonight by 20. I'm going to take them 88-68. That's my pick. 88-68. Hogs by 20. That's my pick. That's my pick, and I am definitely sticking with it. So, Hogs line went up 1.5 this morning. That's a lot of big money on Hogs. Same line move as Kansas State. Hogs last cover. Ryan Jones says Arkansas is currently ranked 24th in KenPom. Poor shooting. Yeah, they are. They're 24th. Shooting definitely has a lot to do with it, but I think that's more accurate ranking of where this team currently is. Maybe. More than likely. They're going to have to get it. You guys know how I feel about J.D. Note and likes. I think they can win you as many games as they could probably lose you. I don't like the lack of ball movement from those two. Hopefully that improves tonight. You're playing a team that turns the ball over a lot, so your turnover to assist ratio has a shot at being pretty high tonight. When does Oklahoma – let's see. When does Arkansas play Oklahoma State in basketball? They already have. Recently, if you're talking about like in recent years, they don't play Oklahoma State. They play Oklahoma. They play Oklahoma in Tulsa. Let me check that date for you real quick. Yeah, they play Oklahoma on December 11th. That'll be here before you know it. That's going to be a 12:30 game on ESPN2 at the moment. That's going to be Tulsa, Oklahoma at the Bach Center, the BOK Center. But they've got to get through Little Rock first, which will be the next game in just a couple of days or 3 days, December 4th against Little Rock. Surprised they're not playing that down there, to be honest with you. But that's in Bud Walton. That's at 3 p.m., so that'll be a Saturday game at 3. I like those mid-afternoon games. I kind of wish it was like a 6 p.m., but you know what? 3 p.m. is cool too. Get it out of the way and then watch some football Saturday night. And then you got Charlotte on the 7th, so just 3 days later you got to play Charlotte. Don't know how their year's going. I'm sure we'll get caught up on that on Friday. And then you've got Oklahoma on the 11th. Hofstra on the 18th. You're going to take on the Elon Fighting Teslas on the 21st. And you open up conference play on the 29th, which will be a Wednesday. So middle of the week, you're going to start conference play. Again, on a Wednesday night, an 8 p.m. tip-off. That is so stupid. I don't know why they do. People are like, why aren't more people going to these 8 p.m. games on a weeknight? Oh, I don't know, because it's 8 p.m. on a weeknight or Sunday night, late Sunday night. Like, come on, man. People got to go to work the next day. Why are we doing 8 p.m. tip-offs? And then Tuesday, you don't have another game until that next Tuesday, 7:30. I mean, that's better than 8, I guess. But, I mean, come on. Now, if they all go like this last game, they won't be as long. That last game against Penn was quick. That felt really fast. I don't know about you guys. That felt really quick. Yeah, the Gonzaga Duke game was intense. Great NBA G League game. Alex says 110-70 Hogs over UCA. Boy, if that happens. A lot of love between Muss and Darrell Walker. U of A-LR is the game the Hogs don't embarrass anybody. Yeah, we play OU next week. Yep. Well, on the 11th. So a little ways after that. Okay, all right. What are we at here? What's our time? Are we coming up on it? We sure are. Look at that, 54 minutes. Yeah, and by the way, it is Jadon Haselwood, not what I have, Jackson or whatever. I was typing fast. But Jadon Haselwood, if you have a shot, you've got one. If you wanted one, you got one. I don't know that he signs here. I don't know that he comes here. I don't know how soon we'll know anything. But I feel good that it could happen, but it wouldn't shock me either way. Trojan Wire and Oklahoma Sooners football reporting the current DB coach Roy Manning, who is on the road with Stoops right now, has been recruiting for both OU and USC at the same time. Yeah, there's some. I saw that there might be some issues here with what happened under Lincoln Riley. I don't know. Do you think we go undefeated into conference play? Boy, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it, Eagle. We've still got Oklahoma's that game for me that's a huge question mark. Now, I just don't know a ton about Charlotte right now, but Oklahoma, who's off to a pretty good start, I think they're one loss, or at least they were, right on the verge of, I think, being ranked. I think they're on the outside looking in, somewhere around the probably top 40. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. That game's a neutral site. I right now, Arkansas's got to clean some things up offensively. Now, here's the thing. Arkansas's defense is good enough. I think they can bail you out of a lot of situations. Their defense. Perimeter defense could be better. I think we have seen them improve. They've been a little spotty, but I don't see that. I hope I don't see that being an issue from this point on. I feel pretty good about them being able to solve that because they've got the bodies. They've got the rotation, I think, to do it, or the bodies to participate in that rotation to make that happen. I feel pretty good that defensively they're going to only get better from this point on. And their defense, again, I mean, that's Musselman's, that's in his DNA, man. I mean, that is something he's going to push. They're going to be I think they're going to be a pretty good forced turnover team with Likes and JD Note. They're in defensively, you feel like that puts you in a good spot with most teams. They're just going to have to get the dribble, shoot nonsense out of the way. They're going to have to get a little bit more active in the in ball movement. That's something Musselman has stressed. And again, this is a guy that counts every single pass on every possession for the Razorbacks. That is how much he holds passing in a very high at a very high level. If you're going to play for him, you got to be a team player, and you need more of that. I think they're still trying to figure out their rotation a little bit. You feel pretty confident in who they have, and you feel confident they're probably not a whole lot of changes from this point on going into December 29th between now and when you enter conference play. I don't think you're going to see a lot of movement there. We'll kind of we'll see. There's still a couple of players, I think, that are trying to fight their way into that rotation. So we'll see how that all works out before they get into conference play. Are the odds in their favor to probably go undefeated? Maybe. I don't know. ESPN says that Oklahoma's your one loss right now. And I don't put a lot of faith. Their football, their FPI was trash this year. It was not good. I don't know how accurate their BPI is right now, but right now their BPI has Arkansas losing to Oklahoma, or at least it did as of Monday when I checked it. So Oklahoma for me right now is a toss-up. So we'll see. But if you did, at worst, I think you go in with maybe one loss. I don't know. That might be our question of the day at some point going into that Oklahoma game or the week of. So all right, that's going to do it. I appreciate you guys so much. Yeah. Arkansas tonight. Again, UCA. We will be live for that on the postgame show. Playing UCA. UCA. It's at a, it's a 7 p.m. at least. We'll say that. It's not an 8 p.m. game. It's a 7 p.m. game. So there's that. It's not super late. It's better than 8 p.m. So, all right, I will see you guys tonight. Woo Pig, go Hogs. And if there's any more updates, listen, if he does announce, we'll probably go live. If they do get one of those OU kids to flip over here, I may go live as soon as it happens, assuming I'm available. I do have a kid at home today fighting a possible ear infection, so that might be tough. But We'll if I'm able to, if there's any news, we'll break it. We'll try to break it here. Hell, I might even just do it on my phone if I'm away from the house. So I'll see you guys tonight after the game. Woo Pig, go Hawks.